Talking with Dennis-Manoloff, and Dennis, with the Indians, of late, especially with the win streak and that, a lot of national pub, a lot of people getting to know who the Indians are on a national level. Corey Kluber, certainly, Francisco Lindor, and some others. But are there a couple people, maybe a pitcher, a position player, who don't get the kind of recognition they should?
And you could have mentioned Ramirez too. Jose Ramirez is an MVP candidate. Lindor gets a lot of runs, so does Kluber. But when I think about a guy who's contributed under the radar, certainly nationally, Carlos Santana. Okay, now we in Cleveland know what Santana's doing, but nationally he doesn't get talked about a whole lot. And yet, when you look at his numbers across the board, they're really good. He's giving you a classic Carlos Santana stuffs the stat sheet type of year, and he's added defense this year. Okay, and he's doing it to help out, not only to help his team on the field, but he's helping Edwin Encarnacion not have to play first base, and Edwin Encarnacion can settle in at DH. So Carlos Santana has become a two-way player, and I never thought I'd say those words. I mean, I never thought I'd see Carlos Santana be a viable offensive player and a really good defensive player. So I don't think he gets enough attention because he has really had an excellent season for the Indians, and he's been a big part of their success. Pitching-wise, I think of a guy like Bryan-Shaw, all right? Bryan-Shaw, year after year, 70-plus appearances. I know he gets knocked around here for some bad outings, but relievers are going to have those happen to him. The bottom line is Bryan-Shaw is one of the most dependable relievers in all of baseball. He's always willing to take the ball. The vast majority of his appearances are good ones. His stuff is filthy, and so Bryan-Shaw is a guy who not only doesn't get enough pub, I think he gets too much negative pub.
Right. Okay. Well, in lines of Carlos Santana, what do you do going forward with him? His contract's up earlier in the year. I think a lot of people just assume that the Indians are probably going to let him walk. No contract offer made, no talks. What about now? You
make a point. I mean, early in the year, Carlos was struggling, okay? Right. But Carlos is one of those guys who doesn't have to say it, but with him, just check him at the end of the year, and the stats will be there. Right. And they generally are. And this is what's happening this year. He turned it on, he got hot, and by the way, perfect for his bank account. I mean, he heated up at exactly the right time when he's going to get paid. I think the Indians need to sign him. All right, for the reasons we just mentioned about the fact that he's a reliable offensive player, he's become a really good defensive player, and if you don't re-sign him, you're going to have to find a first baseman, because I don't think you're going to want to ask Edwin Encarnacion, who's settling in at the DH, to have to suddenly play 130 games at first base. So you're going to need to replace him anyway. So I think Carlos Santana needs to be signed in the exclusive window that you have after the World Series. And I'm not saying the Indians necessarily automatically get to the World Series, but in the time that they have the exclusive negotiating window after their season ends, they need to re-sign Carlos Santana to a multi-year deal. Easy for me, though, to spend other people's money.